Okay. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Mission Impact Series with Tracy and Ty. And today we're going to be talking about operational framework because nothing gets done in your social enterprise or nonprofit organization unless you have a framework for which to go by in order for everybody to get the job done. And that comes down to operations. A lot of people try to skate on this. They don't have operation manuals together. They don't have plans and strategies for how things are going to be done. And this is how nothing gets done and everything falls apart. So we're going to give you some tips and strategies in the series on how to get your operational framework in check and what goes into each component of that operational framework so that you can get started on that today. All right. So my name is Tracy V. Allen. I am the owner of TVA Consulting Group. I help social impact businesses design, build, and fund their social ventures so that they can maximize their revenue and impact their communities.
All right. My name is Ty Boone. I'm owner of Ty Boone Enterprises. Am I echoing?
All right. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Mission Impact Series with Tracy and Ty. And today we're going to be talking about operational infrastructure. So if you have been following the series of operational framework, we talked about systematic communication, right? Which is how we communicate internally, externally, and how that communication drives what happens and how the organization grows. We talked about financial management both on a business and personal level, and how we use the financial management to make sure that we always have money, right? And then we talked about infrastructure investment. And in infrastructure investment, we talked about data, utilizing the data to drive the success of the organization and to make changes within the organization. So basically, not just collecting the data, but actually leveraging the data so that we can build stronger businesses and nonprofits and social enterprises. So today, again, we're going to be talking about operational infrastructure. And this includes the stuff like facilities, systems, and processes, and technology, and data again, right? So we kind of alluded to some systems and processes that we use in our own businesses to get work done and things that we recommend to our clients, but we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get started. So for those of you who this is your first time seeing Mission Impact, welcome. My name is Tracy V. Allen. I am the owner of TVA Consulting Group. I help social impact businesses to design, build, and fund their social ventures, maximize their revenue, and create impact in their communities.
All right. I am Ty Boone, owner of Ty Boone Enterprises. I help nonprofit organizations move from startup and struggle to sustainability and success. I'm a nonprofit success strategist. You know what, Tracy? Because I'm nonprofit, the very first thing that comes to my mind when I talk about operational infrastructure is board. And I know they go everywhere, right? But they're so important in nonprofits. This week every week I learn something crazy new, right? I'm like, okay. When I say crazy new, I'm talking about crazy first. I'm like, oh, really? This is really how y'all operating out here? But in nonprofit organizations, as much as we teach, as much as we talk, I would think that a lot of organizations would know better than a lot of things, right? And it seems like sometimes they don't, right? Where you're starting organizations and you go, oh, well, I don't have a board. And I'm like, you're not an organization. You don't have a board because nonprofit organizations are required to have a board. And you go, oh, well, but I was told that I didn't need to have a board because I saw on social media, and y'all have seen this on social media too, where as an organization, I could just do this by myself. This is my thing. If I had a board, they have to do what I say. And I'm the one who's operating this because I'm the chief executive officer, right? So I'm operating this thing. This is why the organizations are crashing and crashing fast. because there is no infrastructure. It's just you. You're not an infrastructure by yourself. Infrastructure requires that you have people, places, and things in place. It's just like the noun, right? You gotta have things in place. So for people, if you're a nonprofit organization, the people start with the board. Then you have your staff, your executive staff. Depending on how you're building this organization, small organizations, you might just have your board and it goes directly to volunteer staff or whatever. But you have to have them in place and you have to know who they are. You have to know what their roles are in order to make the organization function. So, what is my job as a volunteer in your organization? What am I supposed to be doing? Am I just here twiddling my thumbs, looking out the window, taking pictures, planning for your fundraiser? What is it that I'm supposed to be doing? If I'm on your board, what am I supposed to be doing? What are my board responsibilities? Did you tell me what this is? Places, where am I going with this organization? Where are we housed? How much is it going to take to run this thing? What do I need inside of this building if I need a building to make it work? If one more person send me an email talking about they want a grant for a building, I mean, come on. What are we going to be doing in there? What is this building about? How much is it going to cost? What are your utilities? Do you have you factored in insurance? And nobody's factoring in any of this, mind you. What kind of program?
Well, nobody's doing a budget.
Nobody's doing the budget. We haven't even got no budgets. We just need a place. What is it? How are you going to bring in revenue to support this place? What things do you need to make this work? What kind of technology do you need to have in place? We talk about job form because we're trying to throw in
some sponsorship.
We talk about job form as what we use to collect data. Really great, great tool for a lot of different things. But if you are using something like a job form or whatever you're using, do you understand how to use it? Can you use it to its potential? If not, do you need to have support to help you with that? So going back to people, if you're having different things there, how are you going to make this work? Because it's one thing to have a whole bunch of stuff. We get a whole lot of information. We get a whole lot of stuff. And I said before, it's like scrambled eggs, right? We got all this stuff going on. And then it's like, oh, we don't even know what to do with it. But if we put it in the right place, we got gumbo, and gumbo tastes good. I'm from the South, right? If you put it in the right place. Otherwise, it's just stuff. So, okay, we got a board. Okay, we got job form. Okay, we know we should be collecting data, but what kind of data should we be collecting? So it doesn't make sense. It has to all come together strategically. We didn't even talk about strategic planning. We talk about stuff like that. We talk about the same. Like
I know, right?
We didn't talk about that, but even knowing, hey, when am I supposed to do this thing? When am I ready for this kind of system? When have I reached the capacity over here? If I'm using just an Excel spreadsheet because we don't have any money right now, when have we reached the point where it's time to invest in a couple dollars a month
Salesforce or whatever?
Right, or Salesforce. When is it time to move on because I have this big donor base, and we need to get another system that's going to hold this better than what we're doing it right now? When is it time to move from this notebook? Don't even start with that notebook, y'all. Don't even do that. This paper up here, don't even do that.
Yeah, I know.
Move from that to this, or just use this as a backup mechanism while we're getting something stronger. When is it time to do that? And this should all come with budgeting and having conversations around the growth of your organization. We're not doing that. We're kind of stuck on trying to find money for fundraising to give out turkeys. We're stuck right there. We're stuck on trying to think that we have programs and not understanding what the impact is we're trying to develop. Even when you're thinking about impact, what kind of systems do you need to have in place to create that impact?
Right.
What do you need if you're saying, okay, we're going to provide housing to 100 homeless people? What do you need in order to make this work?
And that's one of the things that we hear a lot. A lot of people tend to reach out to us because they want to start group homes. Like, I swear, at least once a week, if not more, someone wants to start a group home. And I understand wanting to help people in a mass situation, but no thought ever goes into how this is going to happen. and where this group home is going to be located. And again, we've spoken about this before. You can't just pop up and put a group home next to my house. Right? There can't be an available house for rent right there. And then you decide that you're going to bring ex-offenders and put them right in a suburban neighborhood. It just does not work like that. You have to think about all of that stuff. Where are you going to house these people? What security measures you need to do? What certifications that you need to get from the state? And this goes with anything. When we talk about facilities, where people always want a building, you need to know about all of the different levels that go into actually managing, running, and keeping a facility together. Fire codes, insurance, like you talked about, any other bathroom requirements, capacity. It's like a whole slew of, like a checklist that you just need to go down and actually put together in order to make sure that you're being compliant. And we haven't even mentioned compliance throughout this whole process. And that's a big thing. Compliance comes on many different levels. If you're a nonprofit, you are compliant to the whole world. You are compliant to everybody. You're compliant to the IRS, your state, your clients, your board members, the community, your donors. You are compliant to the hill. And transparency is another thing that comes in to when you're talking about operational infrastructure. There has to be all of the things that we talked about, the finances, the investment, the communication, all comes into that operational infrastructure, right? Again, the systems and processes that you use. I was just talking to someone the other day, and I was talking about the fact that a lot of organizations, when they're starting out, they're not able to pay for Salesforce, right? So they need to be able to use something like Excel spreadsheet or Google spreadsheet. And you may not be fluent in using Excel spreadsheet or Google spreadsheet. So now you have to stop and think. Either I'm going to have to learn how to utilize this particular program. Do I have the time? And do I have the personal capacity, whether it's learning it or just the capacity to take the time to do it, right? Because we can't all learn everything. Some things are just beyond us, right? It's above us.
Right? Like, girl, you learn that because they tell me about it later because I don't want to learn that.
Right. Some things are just not for us to learn. So if you know that, okay, computers are just not my thing, but I need to be able to track my data. I need to have a system in place where I can assess and access my data readily. Then that brings in another thing that you need to think about. I'm going to have to hire somebody to do this, right? So that's another thing when we're talking about financial management, that creating that financial management for staff, right? Whether it be full-time, part-time, or contractual staff. Okay, so all of these things go into the operational budget or the operational infrastructure, the process in which things are done. Everything, in order for it to flow the way it should be, has to have a process. Okay, somebody doesn't just show up to your organization. If you do have a building, whether you own it or you rent it, because everybody wants to own something, somebody just doesn't show up and you have a program going on and you're like, oh, I'm going to stick you in that program. There has to be a process, again, of assessing the person when the person comes in, what their needs are. Can we even address their needs? If we can, then we need to outsource them to one of our partners. What that follow-up program looks like. How do we know that they actually got the services rendered by that particular program, whether they can divulge all of the information or not? We still need to have some type of checks and balances. Does that person come back to us after they've received the services over there that we could not provide for them? Right? Do they then move on to another service? Do they have to go to 4 or 5 organizations before they can double back and come to us for us to give them the services that they need? All of these things, it's so many layers. And I don't think people realize that time. I don't think people realize the many, 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 many layers that can go into running any type of business, nonprofit organization, or even a social enterprise. Okay, and that's where operational comes in. Yeah. All of the programs that you use, we talk about job forms all the time, but we use ClickUp as well. We use StreamYard I'm using right now. You know what I mean? There's just so many things that I pay for on a monthly basis that helps my business run effectively and efficiently behind the scenes. Yes, you can start a business very, very low budget where you're not paying for a lot of things. But if you intend to level up and you intend to look as professional as possible, then that comes along with some monies. So everything that we've talked about really comes down to this part, right? Which is the operational infrastructure. Everything, the last three things we talked about comes into this bucket, operational infrastructure. All right?
Yep.
Anything else?
I don't got nothing. Y'all got to get it together. We going into a new year.
So thank you for joining us again. Go back and watch the other videos that we talked about in the series of operational infrastructure, systemic communication, financial management, infrastructure investment, and then this one, which is operational infrastructure. Until next time, bye everyone.